A Step into the Past Volume 10 Chapter 3, appearing to both welcome and spurn. After sending off Lord Longyang, Xiang Xiaolong sent a messenger to secretly summon Pu Bulletin to inquire regarding Zhao Mu's recent activities. Pu Bulletin thought for a while, then responded, "Recently, he spends very little time at his estate. The people accompanying him are all trusted bodyguards who have been with him for over 10 years. Xiang Xiaolong said, "How are all of your brothers doing?" Pu Bulletin excitedly said, "They are extremely excited. They all say that Master Xiang lives up to his words and has not abandoned them. Your ambush and assassination of Li Cheng was all the more exquisite. However, I still do not dare to inform them that Master Dong is really Xiang Xiaolong. It's always best to be cautious." Seeing how prudent the man was, Xiang Xiaolong felt greatly relieved. Every time Zhao Mu returns to his estate, is there any room in particular he spends most of his time in? Pu Bulletin was slightly stunned. Nodding, he said, "Now that you mention it, Master Dong, I do seem to recall that the past few times he's returned to the estate, he'll always go to the Jade Peach Garden at the eastern side of the residence. He keeps on walking in circles at the reclining traveler's veranda there, and also ordered me to send people to guard that place in specific. 5 sentry posts were set up. Master Dong, for you to ask such a question, you must know the reason behind his actions." Xiang Xiaolong resolutely said, "Let's see how the situation is tonight." Pu Bulletin let out a sigh. From within his bosom, he withdrew an overhead map of the Marquis estate. "I prepared this map long ago. Every single guard post is marked clearly. This part here is the Jade Peach Garden. The rectangle within the garden is the reclining traveler's veranda. Be sure not to go on the roof, there's a hidden sentry there." Xiang Xiaolong saw how even the hidden sentry was noted down on the map. After analyzing it for a while, he said, "As long as we can breach the outer barrier, we'll have our opportunity." "What is this thick line circling around the reclining traveler's veranda?" Pu Bulletin said, "That's a man-made creek that also serves as a natural barrier. It definitely isn't easy to get near the reclining traveler's veranda." He explained in detail again. Xiang Xiaolong, fearing that his long absence might raise others' suspicions, quickly urged him to leave. After sending off Pu Bulletin, Xiang Xiaolong unceasingly analyzed that map, but before he was able to think of any appropriate way by which he could sneak into the estate without attracting any attention at all, in glided in the straight-tempered Ji Yanran. When this great beauty saw him, she appeared less joyful than she had in the past. She morosely burrowed into his embrace, saying, "I'm very worried. Although you demonstrated your prowess, you've aroused the suspicions of all parties. The strangest thing of all is, why would you have sent people to secretly watch over Zhao Yu's palace, and why is it that when you pursued Prince Xinling's men, you only used your own subordinates?" Hearing so many flaws exposed at once, Xiang Xiaolong was stunned. "Did you come up with this by yourself, or did you hear it from others?" Snuggling in his arms, Ji Yanran sorrowfully said, "If I can think of these questions, can it be that others will not? Fortunately, no matter what theories they come up with, they still wouldn't be able to imagine that you are Xiang Xiaolong. They only suspect that you, Empress Jing, and Han Chuang have some secret plan and are plotting in secret. Everyone knows that without Han Chuang providing information in a hiding spot, there is no way Yu Xing and his men would have been able to sneak into the Zhao Palace to commit murder and arson, much less discover the location of Liu Gong's secret manual." Xiang Xiaolong was stunned speechless. Just as he was secretly berating himself for losing sight of the greater picture, this talented woman continued, "For the sake of ruining my opinions of you, Li Yuan unceasingly badmouths you under the pretext of discussing Zhao politics. He claims that you are one of the instigators of the arson, and that you, Empress Jing, and Zhao Yu have formed an alliance, and that you hope to be promoted into the nobility. It's good that he does so. That's why I still go to his place often to hear the news." Xiang Xiaolong unhappily said, "You still meet with him frequently?" Ji Yanran coquettishly glanced at him. Oh! How sweet! Xiaolong is sipping from a cup of vinegar getting jealous. You oversensitive rascal! I'm suffering all this on your behalf. Li Mu has almost returned. When is Zhao Mu planning to make his move? Xiang Xiaolong explained Zhao Mu's plans to her. Ji Yanran's face became dignified and imposing. In a solemn voice, she said, "It seems they aren't even willing to let Han Chuang and Lord Longyang off the hook." Frowning, Xiang Xiaolong said, "You think Zhao Mu would be willing to offend both the countries of Han and Wei under these circumstances?" Ji Yanran said, "Zhao Mu only needs to find an excuse to force the two to remain in Han. By the time Han and Wei find out what happened, months would have passed. By that time, they would hesitate to smash a rat for fear of breaking the dishes nearby. If within those first few months, Zhao Mu is able to execute or dismiss Li Mu and Lian Po without bloodshed, and also has both Qi and Chu supporting him, it won't be too hard for him to ascend to the throne." Xiang Xiaolong hesitated for a long time. After first getting a bit frisky with this beautiful woman, causing her entire face to blush red, he said, "Yanran, will you do as I say?" Ji Yanran was still 30% clear-eyed. She sweetly replied, "As long as you don't intend to force me to leave you, anything is negotiable." Xiang Xiaolong said, "How could I bear to? To the contrary, I intend to fall asleep while holding you each night." Ji Yanran doubtingly said, "Don't you need to accompany your other wives?" Xiang Xiaolong knew that he had just exaggerated too much. He tried to play it all the way through, "Can't we just spread a large blanket to cover everybody?" Ji Yanran glanced at him tenderly, unable to keep from smiling. "Sleeping together under one big blanket? How could you think of such a thing? I'm not as debauched and depraved as you." "Oh! What was it exactly that you wanted me to do?" Growing serious, Xiang Xiaolong said, "How many warriors do you have under you? How good are they?" Ji Yanran said, "My father and I have, altogether, around 100 family warriors. Roughly 20 of them can be considered high-class fighters. There are no questions at all about their loyalty, especially my own personal men. They are all clansmen who fled to Wei with us to avoid disaster. Each of them have their own unique skills. We even have some expert swordsmiths." Xiang Xiaolong remembered that she was a member of the nobility of the country of Yu, the same as Tian Zhen and Tian Feng. He secretly thought that the beauties of Yu really were quite extraordinary. His heart suddenly stirred, he began to attack her with both hands and lips, while saying, "Regardless of whether or not we succeed in this venture, we will need to leave Zhao. I want you to come up with an excuse for leaving." Ji Yanran's violently trembling face turned white in the blink of an eye. She sat up straight and, ignoring his hands roaming across her breasts, resolutely said, "No. Even if I am to die, I will die with you. I long ago have had my fill of the pain of being parted." Xiang Xiaolong was greatly moved. In a soft voice, he said, "Your departure will only be a ploy. Now that I am the city commander, I naturally have the capability of stealthily bringing you back so that you might secretly aid me. The reason I want you to leave is so that you can take away both Zoyan as well as those 2 twin serving girls of mine to a safe place. That way, I can scheme without fear." Ji Yanran's pretty face returned to its original color. Letting out a sigh, she said, "As you wish." Then she mumbled, "The best excuse is to return to Wei for a funeral. By chance, I just received a letter informing me that Empress Wei, who has always treated me like her own daughter, has just passed away due to illness. I will use this as an excuse to immediately head back towards Wei 2 days from now. When I reach the boundaries of Wei, I will alter my path towards Han. But as far as how to secretly enter Qin and then return to Han, you will have to make the arrangements." "Oh! I'm so happy. Not only would I be able to stay with you day and night, I'll be able to stay with you at all times as one of your soldiers." After an ardent kiss, they discussed various stratagems for leaving Zhao before Xiang Xiaolong urged her away. When Teng Yi saw him, he said, Han Chuang sent someone here to look for you. He says he has urgent business. Xiang Xiaolong secretly pondered how wonderful it would be if he could create multiple copies of himself like Sun Wukong. His heart suddenly stirred, he pulled Teng Yi off to one side. Tonight, I am going to burglarize Zhao Mu's mansion. At that time, if you dress up as me, then we can keep everything safe and hidden. Teng Yi frowned. The oaths of loyalty. Xiang Xiaolong nodded. Teng Yi was silent for some time, then said, in order to defend against the real Xiang Xiaolong, Zhao Mu must have prepared tight, cautious rings of defenses. Must you take this risk? Xiang Xiaolong smiled wryly. In order to understand Zhao Mu's plot so as to prevent our boat from sinking in the sewer, there's no better alternatives. Teng Yi sighed along with him. No one would be a better fit for disguising themselves as you as Wu Guo. That fellow is especially skilled at playing tricks, and is even more skilled at imitating others' voices and intonations. With me helping to conceal any flaws, I guarantee that no one will be able to tell. Hey! Why don't we have young Jingjun go with you tonight as well? Xiang Xiaolong said, I have received information from Pu Bulletin which thoroughly details Zhao Mu's defenses. The fewer people who know about this matter, the better. Oh well. I will go visit Han Chuang first. We can discuss things more in depth when I return. When he thought about the placement of guards in the garden, he became all the more cheerless. Teng Yi, knowing that he had made up his mind, did not speak further. They arrived at Han Chuang's manor. The Marquis' face was somber as he led them into his residence. Only after they arrived at a tightly closed door in an inner room did he speak. Empress Jing wishes to see you again. Pushing the door open, he walked in. The only person within the hall was Empress Jing herself. Her back facing towards them, she was staring outside the only window in the room at the garden below. The rays of light shining past her from the window made this beautiful married woman appear all the more enchanting and graceful. For a moment, Xiang Xiaolong found it difficult to link her to all of her stratagems. The two gingerly walked behind her. Empress Jing slowly turned around. First, she smiled slightly towards Xiang Xiaolong. But when her gaze fell upon Han Chuang, she said with a cold humph, if the person handling that affair had been anyone but Minister Dong, you would have exhausted me to death, you rash, impetuous man. Han Chuang was a person of great personal standing. For Empress Jing to openly rebuke him in such a manner in front of Xiang Xiaolong made him feel very awkward. His entire face turned red, but he didn't refute her remarks. Xiang Xiaolong soothingly said, at least the affair is over with now. Empress Jing, please do not blame the Marquis. Empress Jing's face was as cold as ice. After staring at Han Chuang for a while, she said, there are still repercussions to come from this matter. I said long ago that considering the current circumstances, it isn't advisable to have any contact with Prince Xinling. And yet, you refused to listen to me and almost imperiled Minister Dong. Han Chuang sighed, elder sister Jing. How else do you want me to pay for my transgressions before your anger will be appeased? I, too, didn't expect Yu Xing and his men to be so aggressive and cause such trouble. Empress Jing suddenly laughed. Just as the two were feeling confused, the beautiful married woman said, the only benefit is that King Xiaocheng now trusts Commander Dong even more, and that Zhao Yi feels extremely grateful to him as well. Fine. I want to speak with Minister Dong in private. Han Chuang found it appropriate to leave, closing the door as he departed. Empress Jing approached Xiang Xiaolong. At a handspan away, she halted her footsteps. In a soft voice, she said, Minister Dong, how should I thank you for performing such a meritorious deed? Although he knew very well that she was using her beauty to win him over and that her heart was filled with schemes, when he remembered that she held the lofty position of Empress of Zhao and saw how sensual and sexy she was, he couldn't help but feel extremely aroused. With a dry throat, he said, Empress, you showed me great favor by promoting me. Naturally, I will serve you with all my effort and am willing to do anything. Empress Jing took another step forward, almost touching Xiang Xiaolong's bosom. She lifted her face up, eyes sparkling with light, as she said gently, the people in this day and age all say one thing and do another. People like Minister Dong, who are willing to risk their own lives to carry out their promises to me, make me feel extremely grateful. I will never forget what you have done for me, Han Jing. I guarantee you riches and honor for every day I am in power. If this were in the past, Xiang Xiaolong's trusting nature would have caused him to feel extremely moved. But after having been warned in advance by Lord Long Yang, he was vigilant and only dared to tentatively listen to her words. But he allowed a look of gratitude to appear on his face as he said in a soft voice, I, Dong Kuang, always pay my debts. And this was just a small matter besides. Empress Jing moved forward slightly one more time. Her tall, erect, firm breasts pressed firmly against his chest. Her breathing beginning to grow rapid, she said, regardless of whether or not I am the Empress, I am a woman. I need a man to look after me. You also know the king's ugly secret. He's also agreed not to interfere with my affairs. His health has grown poorer by the day, especially in the past half-year. He's sick and aching all day long. Hypothetically, if the prince, my son, were to become king, we will need outstanding talents like Minister Dong all the more to assist us. Minister Dong, do you understand the hidden meaning of my words? Xiang Xiaolong could feel the alluring suppleness of her erect breasts. He secretly thought to himself that only a total idiot would not understand her hidden meaning. He intentionally frowned. Empress Jing, set your mind to rest. I am totally loyal to you. Ah! Empress Jing, please don't act in such a way. I'm almost unable to control myself any longer. Empress Jing began to laugh, her face appearing like a blooming flower. She placed a soft kiss on his face before retreating to the windowsill. She smiled enchantingly towards him. Who is telling you to control yourself? If a person cannot act as he desires, what joy is there in life? Unfortunately, right now, I don't have the time to test and see if you were being honest or just boasting when you claimed to be able to make women desire to never leave you. If you have the chance to visit the Imperial Palace, try and take the time to visit me. After she finished speaking, she brushed past him, smiling as she left. Xiang Xiaolong was left behind grinding his teeth, secretly hating her for arousing his lust and making him feel uncomfortably aroused. The worst thing was, he really did want to take a taste of this empress. When he thought of this, he suddenly remembered the aphrodisiac which Han Chuang had given him for the purpose of seducing Ji Yanran. If he were to use a little of it, it wouldn't be too unfair. Perhaps he could even flip the situation around and make the guest into the host, and instead control this powerful woman. This would save a lot of headaches. When he thought of this, his heart couldn't help but start beating. When he returned with Teng Yi to the manor, Wu Guo came and said, Lady Yi has arrived. She's currently chatting with your two wives. Xiang Xiaolong signaled with his eyes towards Teng Yi. The latter understood and pulled Wu Guo off to the side to speak. Upon entering the inner hall, he saw the three ladies seated in one corner, whispering quietly to each other. Xiang Xiaolong felt very curious. Just as he was pondering why Shanro was acting on such good behavior, Tianzhen and Tianfeng, off to one side, chimed in unison, Master Dong has returned. The three women all turned to look towards him as one. Smiles appeared on their faces, like flowers blooming beautifully. When adding in the faces of the Tian sisters, who definitely were not inferior to them in beauty, Xiang Xiaolong felt his eyes going dizzy and almost lost track of place and time. Zhao Ye laughed. Ye brought some ornaments over as gifts for Sister Ro, Zhizi, Little Zhou, and Little Feng. They all like it a lot. Xiang Xiaolong exclaimed to himself, so that's how it is. He arrived by their side and sat down. Tianzhen came over as well. Master Dong. Can we begin to eat? Xiang Xiaolong nodded. I'm about to die of hunger. Where did little June go? Zhao Ye said, he went to the pastures this morning. He still hasn't come back. Xiang Xiaolong rose to his feet. Yeah. I have something to discuss with you. Shan Rou unhappily said, are you treating the rest of us as outsiders? What do you have to hide? Xiang Xiaolong felt unhappy. Just as his eyebrows began to rise, Shan Rou let out a giggling laugh. Pulling Zhao Ji up by the hand, she said, don't be so serious, I was just joking. After glancing at him sideways, she took her sister off to a corner to pore over the gifts they just received, full of joy. Xiang Xiaolong wasn't sure if he should laugh or cry. Sitting down, he shook his head and forced a smile. A wild horse will remain a wild horse. Zhao Ye said, I also have something to discuss with you. Just now, my imperial brother summoned me to the palace and asked if he could totally trust you. I replied, no matter what, Dong Kuang is at least more trustworthy than Guo Kai. Xiang Xiaolong's curiosity was aroused. And how did he react? Zhao Ye said, at first, he was very unhappy, but I asked him, who was it that risked his life to save Lord Longyang? Who retrieved Liu Gong's secret manual for him? This rendered him without any other arguments. Thinking of Empress Jing, Xiang Xiaolong offhandedly asked, does Guo Kai also have an affair with Empress Jing? Zhao Ye felt slightly astounded. I don't know. I imagine it can't be possible. This woman has always treated the affections of men very lightly. If I recall correctly, she has only ever had sketchy relationships with Prince Xinling and Zhao Mu. Where did you hear this from? Instead of answering, Xiang Xiaolong asked, King Xiaocheng really doesn't inquire into her affairs. Zhao Ye said, my imperial brother only wants the empress to not bother him. As long as she doesn't make her affairs public, my imperial brother is happy to let things be as they are. Oh. He's also a bit afraid of her. You still haven't told me where you got your news from. Xiang Xiaolong said, Lord Longyang told me. Logically speaking, he wouldn't lie to his savior and benefactor. Zhao Ye was briefly stunned. Slowly, her face became imposing. If my guess is correct, Guo Kai must have sought out Lord Longyang to try and discern whether or not, in the event of a rebellion, Wei would support that woman. That must be why Lord Longyang would make such a guess. Feeling a hint of fear, Xiang Xiaolong said, does this mean Empress Jing and Guo Kai have their own separate scheme? Worried, Zhao Ye replied, Imperial Brother's health has been declining with each passing day. Right now, everyone is scheming to benefit themselves. At times, even I'm not sure who is in league with who, much less you. Shan Rou's voice drifted over. Come eat. The rice and dishes are growing cold. Zhao Ye stood up. You need to be cautious of Zhao Mu. That traitor is an expert at using deceit and poison, and his techniques are strange and unfathomable. You'll be in trouble before you even know it. Xiang Xiaolong's tall frame rose as well. With one arm, he pulled her into his embrace. He whispered into her ear, Yer, do you have any way to depart from Zhao's borders before Lord Longyang's farewell dinner? Afterwards, I'll meet up with you. This will make my plan of retreat much simpler. Zhao Ye's fragrant body trembled. Biting her lip, she lowered her head and quietly said, Can you give me some time to think? Xiang Xiaolong couldn't bear to press her. Nodding, he agreed. He pulled her to the dinner table. When Teng Yi entered, he waited until Xiang Xiaolong gestured him in before going to the table and seating himself on a sitting mat as well. Tianzhen was just about to pour Xiang Xiaolong some wine, when he said, I'm not drinking tonight. Shan Rou glanced at him, revealing a pondering look in her eyes. Xiang Xiaolong reached out and curled his arm around Tianzhen's pretty little waist. Zhener, are you familiar with Zhao Mu's reclining traveler's veranda? Tianzhen obediently knelt down as well, nodding. Xiang Xiaolong asked, is there any place within the veranda where one might be able to hide something around the size of a silk manuscript? After deeply pondering for a moment, Tianzhen replied, that room is filled with gifts others have given to that traitor. He doesn't put any documents or manuscripts there. Tianfeng interjected, that place didn't even have a cupboard. But we have been gone for such a long time that I don't know if it's still the same. Zhao worriedly said, do you want to go there to secretly read those oaths of loyalty? Right now, Zhao Mu's nerves are as tight as a bird startled by the twang of a bow. At night, he has vicious dogs patrolling. Please don't go, all right. Teng Yi said, there must be a series of tunnels installed in his manor. Do any of you know about such a thing? Zhao and the others all shook their head unknowingly. Tianzhen suddenly let out a tender cry. I remember. Beneath the main building, there's a cellar which is used to store weapons. But I don't know if the reclining traveler's veranda also has such a cellar. Upon hearing her words have no bearing on any tunnels, everyone's excitement, which had just been lit, was doused promptly. Shanro sneered, even if you knew where the exit to the tunnel is, if I were Zhao Mu, I would have people guarding them, as well as have installed copper tubes to listen to any noise. I would know if so much as a fly entered the tunnels. Zhao Ji laughed. Xiaolong, ask Sister Ro and see what ideas she can come up with for entering the manor. Everyone was stunned. They suddenly remembered that Shanro had once attempted to assassinate Zhao Mu within his own palace before safely escaping. Shanro pouted her little lips. He's a peerless hero who travels alone and does as he pleases. How could he use the help of a woman like myself? Moreover, I, Shanro, don't have any part in his magnificent undertaking. I might as well save my breath and take a good nap instead. Zhao was the first to burst out laughing. Dear Sister Ro, how can our Master Dong not have you take good care of him tonight, after seeing how full of resentment you are? Sister Ro, don't think too much on it. Turning, she winked towards Xiang Xiaolong. Isn't that right, Master Dong? Xiang Xiaolong helplessly forced out a smile. Of course. I would like to ask Miss Ro to take this humble little soldier to the marquee residence for a stroll tonight. Shan Ro's anger and resentment turned into excitement. Glancing at him, she said, oh, so you're begging me now? Don't act as though you've been forced into it. Even though I'm slightly inferior to you in lowly tricks such as stealing hens and dogs, if we are to compare our skills in infiltrating houses and assassinating people, who in the world is a match for me, Shanro? Otherwise, why is it that Tiandan must tread so cautiously and carefully? Zhao Ji's face changed. Sister Ro. Now is not the time for assassination. Shanro impatiently said, that's just a metaphor. Standing up, she said, I need to go prepare. As she walked away, she saw that Xiang Xiaolong was still staring stupidly at her. She loudly shouted, why aren't you scramming? Go and get prepared. I still have to dress you with a special water cloth. Not paying any attention to all the people who were staring at her in amazement, she went into her room.